excited to be able to take part in this special interview for recognizing unsung heroes. And as I thought about that word, I kind of like, really? But it's an honor because it's an opportunity to honor God in it. I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. I've been a disciple for 40 plus years. I was a single mom when I became a disciple. My daughter was probably 1 year old at the time, and at age 6 we moved to Boston and got to know the church a little better and just continued to start my career. I started off my career, my first job was in banking. I went into one of their management programs. And at the time, it was really interesting. They had over 300 candidates, and they narrowed that down. They narrowed that 300 down to 50, and I was still standing. And then they took and narrowed that 50 down to 25, and then down to 12. And I was one of the 12 that was selected to be in this bank program. It was an honor and a privilege, and I learned a lot. But probably after a year and a half there in Tampa, I moved to Boston. And from there, again, God is really good and, really guiding and directing our steps and our paths. So I started my career search again, and I landed a job with the Gillette company. And working there at Gillette, I worked my way from being in their accounting department to their commercial department, to being one of their director of finance for their Braun division, which is in Germany. And so I went back and forth there, and we were kind of bought out by a company called P&G, yes, the big P&G that we know of. And so I worked with them for a while, and then ended up leaving that after so many years. And what was interesting about that was the fact that when I got ready to leave, I was many years away from retirement, but the company came to me and said, well, we've moved you so many times from here to there, and if you want, we'll bridge you to retirement, 10 to 15 years and give you everything as if you had already retired. And we'll give you 2 years of severance on top of that. And of course, being in finance, the math added up, and I took it and I ran with it. And I'll never forget that because that was God, making all of that possible for me. And then in the middle of that, still raising my daughter, I had opportunity to see my daughter get selected to attend one of the most famous high schools in the world, Phillips Exeter. Someone told me at the time, say, Jackie, to get into Phillips Exeter, you have to be a Rockefeller or a Kennedy or one of these big names in order to get your child into this caliber school. The only school that was close in caliber to this school, it was basically the school that Princess Diana's boys went to in England at Eden. And so I thought, well, that's really interesting. We'll see how it goes. Well, fast forward, not only did my daughter get into that school, she got into every single one of these predominant schools in the country. So loved that, and after that she went on to college. The two of us still forging. She became a lawyer, and now she owns her own business today and is doing very well. I'm so proud of her. And this is really special for me. Because when I grew up down south, we were quite poor, and no one in my immediate family had ever graduated from college, or even attend a caliber school that my daughter had the opportunity to go through. to go to, and myself as well. I was at Gillette. My boss asked me, said, "Do you want to get an MBA?" And I'm like, if there was a way to do it, I would do it yesterday. And he said, "Good." And within 6 months, I was in an MBA program, and the company paid 100% for me to get that MBA. So that was quite interesting, and from there I left Gillette and P&G. I went to work for Honeywell for a while, and I was the director of finance for the U.S. and Canada. And at the end of that, they actually offered me a VP of finance role with them, but unfortunately, that part of the company got bought out, and I didn't get to do that. But who knew in my future, just a few months down the line, I was asked by BP, British Petroleum, one of the biggest oil companies in the world, to come work for them. And in working for them, I was the finance director for the entire Western Hemisphere. And so a pretty big role and a great opportunity. At times I felt like, oh my God, this is totally over my head. But I was learning, and I got opportunity to travel. You know, it's interesting, sometimes we go to team meetings and they're in the office next door, or they're 5 minutes down the street. You know, my team meetings was in Bucharest. You know, it was in Budapest, and you know, different parts of the globe. And every quarter, my meeting was in the UK, and so I got to see a lot, learn a lot, and more than that, to me, that stood with me. Every time I got a chance to travel, I would visit the church in that area. So I remember going to I think it was Budapest at the time, and so I stopped to visit a friend in Turkey, and she went to church with me there in Turkey, and I'd been asking her to go for years, but God took me there, and then she finally came, and then I got to visit the churches in Madrid. I used to go there probably twice a year. My daughter became fluent in Spanish by visiting the church in Madrid with me, and in the churches in Cologne and in Paris and in Egypt. You know, just amazing opportunities, and you know, growing up, you know, I don't think I even knew that these countries even existed. Or, you know, definitely had never seen anyone in my family do anything like that. So my heart was just filled with gratitude and thanksgiving. Today, I work for a company called Church and Dwight. A lot of people think it's a law firm because it sounds like a law firm, Church and Dwight, but it's actually one of the biggest CPG companies in the U.S. A lot of you probably seen it. We sell the Arm & Hammer baking powder. You've seen the Arm & Hammer liquid detergent. I'm responsible for their health and well-beings. So if you're ever in Costco anywhere and you see the Vitafusion vitamins, or if a woman's looking for a pregnancy test, and you see First Response, and then Trojan, those are brands that fall under my bailiwick, which I'm the finance person for. So you know, it's still going on, and I don't know how many more years I'm going to work. But what I do know is that I really enjoy being able to pass on the things that I've learned. And so I have many opportunities where people come to me and say, you know, how do you go about navigating certain things in your career? How do you know what's a good offer and what's a bad offer? You know, I've been able to encourage sisters to, you know, not just settle for $100,000 a year. You know, there's sisters I know that make $500 a year, and you know, and it's not about the money. It's about showing what God can do and how big and strong and mighty He is in our lives. And even if I didn't have that, I would still have the passion to be able to help others. And I love helping minority women. You know, I want to see them succeed. I want to see them grow, and I want to be able to see them play it forward. A little game or something I play with my two granddaughters here from Sarah is that Julie and JoJo, when they get ready to go to school every day, JoJo being in the 3rd grade, and I ask her, I say, JoJo, who's the smartest girl in 3rd grade? And she always, without a doubt, says, me. and she believes it with all her heart, and she works that way. I'll ask Julia, who's the smartest girl in 5th grade? And Julia would say, me. And they're humble girls. You know, they're not arrogant, they're not prideful, but they really believe that. And just like it was instilled in me. You know, my grandmother used to tell me, I can't send you much money in college, but I have $5 here and there. But it meant a lot that I still remember that today. And it's my hope that Julie and JoJo will always remember that they're the smartest girl in whatever they do. That doesn't mean that you don't have setbacks or you don't have failures, but that your mindset is to be the very best that you can be. And I see that in my daughter. I see that in her husband. I see it in the rest of my family and my sons. And I'm just very grateful and thankful that God has brought me from a family that was on welfare to a family that if I walked into a welfare office, they'd probably kick me out and say, what are you doing here? So I'm very thankful, very grateful, and I take it very seriously. I see it as a responsibility to pass on and to teach others what God has taught me and given to me. Thank you.